What's up, Lost Boys? Here we are for our 82nd annual Lost Boys Fantasy Draft recap video. Well, maybe not 82nd annual, but it feels like it, boys. I love it. Every year we have our fantasy football draft, and I look forward to doing this video to go over a quick little draft recap. And then, of course, we preview the week one matchups. This video is going to be a little bit longer because I got to do both those things. So if you got somewhere to be, tell them you got major diarrhea, plant yourselves down, and enjoy the show. So first, we're going to get into the draft recap. I'm going to go over each person's team's best pick, worst pick, and a sneaky pick. Overall thoughts on each team real quick, and then we'll get into the week one matchups. Let's get started, boys. So first overall pick this year was, of course, Pat. It's pretty much Pat every year. He had CMC, I think 2 or 3 years ago, he had Jonathan Taylor. Both those guys absolutely took dumps for Pat. Rough years for Pat. Patty has been kind of having some rough times in fantasy. He was a perennial playoff contender every single year. And the last 5 or so years, he's kind of dipped out of that into the sub category of So I think it's his time this year. His team looks phenomenal. And that's why his best pick of the draft, I know it's boring, but it's Ja'Marr Chase. Chase is by far the safest pick in the draft, with maybe the highest ceiling in the draft. I mean, the guy was a Triple Crown winner last year for wide receivers. His offense is maybe the best in the NFL. His defense on the Bengals is maybe the worst in the NFL, which is the best combo you can have in fantasy football. Pat wasn't messing around. He could have shot for the moon with a Christian McCaffrey. He could have taken the running back in Bijan. He said, no, I'm taking the boring pick in Ja'Marr Chase, who is also the best pick. Pat's worst pick of the draft, unfortunately, I think it's Breece Hall in the 5th round. Breece Hall is, I think, his second starting running back, if I'm not mistaken. Breece Hall's a pretty good player. I had him last year and the year before. He was really good. The problem is the Jets have made it clear they want to run 2 running backs, sometimes 3 with Isaiah Davis. And for that to be your number 2 running back on what could be a really bad Jets offense, especially with a quarterback like Justin Fields, who will take a lot of those goal line carries and make them touchdowns for himself. Breece Hall, I wasn't a big fan of that pick with a lot of other guys that were on the board. And Pat's sneaky pick could be, in my theory, by week 4 or 5, will be his Breece Hall replacement if he needs to. Zach Charbonnet in the 12th. Zach Charbonnet came out. The Seahawks took him pretty early in the draft. He's been in the league for a few years now, but he's looked phenomenal this offseason. They really, really like him, and I think that's a team that's also going to go to a 2-headed monster. The difference between the Seattle's 2-headed monster is Kenneth Walker's injury prone. He misses 4, 5, 6 games every single year. He gets nicked up during a game. Charbonnet could become the lead back by mid-season, take over that backfield. Could be a steal for Pat at the 12th. So overall, those are Pat's great picks. Awesome team for Pat. Next, we're going to go with Ryan. Speaking of awesome teams, to be honest with you, before, so I don't have to say it for everyone, overall, everyone did a really good job. There are a few teams that I don't really like their teams. I'll get to them whenever we get to them. But overall, I think 8 out of 10 teams did awesome this year. Ryan being one of those teams. Ryan's best pick, I'm going to go with Emeka Egbuka in the 11th round for Ryan. I know it sounds weird picking an 11th rounder for the best pick, but Godwin's injured. The Bucks like to pass a lot. The guy's a stud. First round pick out of Ohio State. He's going to get a lot of volume to start the season. You can't say that about a lot of rookie wide receivers. And the vibes, his attitude, everything from camp has been awesome. I think Egbuka comes out firing in week 1. I think he could have a chance to be one of those crazy good rookie wide receivers. We had a few last year. I think Egbuka's the next one. So great pick with Ryan. That one. His worst pick, unfortunately, the same team. Baker Mayfield, 5th rounder. I like Baker this year, but he lost Liam Cohn. We don't know exactly how good he's going to be, how much volume he's going to have. Now, I still think he's going to be good, but he took him in that 5th round. You could tell Ryan wanted to get his 2 quarterbacks out of the way. He took Mahomes in the 4th. He took Baker in the 5th, pretty much back to back. I think he could have waited on QB. There were some other QBs that went about 3 rounds later. I think he needed to take another position player there. I think that was his worst pick. And his sneaky pick We're going 10th rounder for Ryan. Ricky Pearsall. Once again, Giants or Niners are injured as well, kind of like the Bucks are with Godwin. Ayuk is out. Jennings, who knows what that guy's doing? If he's holding out, if he's hurt, is he even going to play? So right now the Niners have Ricky Pearsall, George Kittle, and then they have Christian McCaffrey. You know that Shanahan likes to throw the ball. You know that they like to put up points in San Francisco. So Ricky Pearsall's got to get volume. He was a first-round pick coming out of college. The guy's a really good athlete. If he can stay healthy, I mean, he got shot in the chest last year before the season started. That's kind of what put a damper on his rookie season. This year, first-round pick, mega talented, not a lot of competition. Ryan snags him in the 10th. I think he could be a great pick for Ryan. Third, Justin. What a fucking draft for Justin. I mean, he went against every instinct of his. This was George Costanza, do the opposite, and it paid off. He should do this every single year. This was by far the best draft that he ever had. It was even hard finding a worse pick for him this year. So we're going to start with his best pick. And this was also hard because all of his picks were really good, but I went with A.J. Brown in the 3rd. I think A.J. Brown is, a top 6 or 7 wide receiver. He should have been taken probably in that 2nd round. Justin gets him in the 3rd, which is insane value for him. So awesome pick by Justin. On the flip side, his worst pick contributes because of that A.J. Brown pick. Devonta Smith is his worst pick. So as good as the A.J. Brown pick was, he took his partner in crime, Devonta Smith. You have now 2 Eagles wide receivers on your team in a not the most pass-heavy offense with Jalen Hurts. So I just wasn't a fan of the Devonta Smith pick. It was in the 6th round, so it wasn't super early, but having both of those guys just kind of bothered me. Justin's sneaky pick, I think it could be huge. Jaylen Warren, they just gave him a contract extension in Pittsburgh. They drafted a rookie running back who's been getting a lot of hype, but we haven't seen anything from him. And every time Jaylen Warren has gotten volume, he has been awesome. Najee's gone, obviously. And a lot of people just think they're going to give all this workload to Johnson, the rookie. What if they just give the workload to Jaylen Warren, who's been awesome? He could be a top 15, maybe top 10 running back, and Justin snagged him in the 11th. So that's Justin's sneaky pick and close to his best pick. Next, Cass. Absolutely loved Cass's draft. Me and him had a lot of the same interest. His talent, his pulling guys at the perfect time during the draft was great. We're going to go with Cass's best pick being Terrell McMillan in the 7th. I mean, first round pick, high pick, top 3 pick on an offense that was ascending at the end of last year. He doesn't have a lot of targets competition in Carolina. Their defense is really, really bad. So, I mean, who else is going to get the ball there? There's one other guy that we'll talk about later in the draft that's going to get the ball, but Ted is going to get a lot of volume. He's a deep ball thrower. He's over 6'4", jump ball kind of guy. I think Bryce Young takes a leap this year, gets a little bit better. But Cass getting Ted in the 7th could be a top 10 wide receiver in the 7th. So awesome pick by Cass. His worst pick, Jalen Waddle in the next round, in the 8th. Now I know 8th is a tough round to say that's his worst pick, but there were still some good guys on the board in the 8th, number 1. But just Jalen Waddle's one of those guys that by week 3 or 4, you just don't want him on your team. Because if you go into the week and he's healthy, you start him, and by the 2nd quarter, he has leg cramps and he's out. He gets you nothing. It's one of those guys where if he's healthy, you don't want to start him, and if he's injured, you don't want him on your team. And he's always one of those. He's always injured. So I was going to avoid Jalen Waddle at all costs. Cass looked at the value, thought it was too good, but I think Jalen Waddle may be off his team by midseason. And Cass' sneaky pick, Braylon Allen in the 17th. I mentioned the stuff with Pat and Breece Hall. Braylon Allen is the second head to that 2-headed monster, and he's really good. And I think Braylon Allen has a chance to maybe overtake Breece Hall later in the year. He's a bigger guy, taller guy, so he could get some that goal line work over Breece Hall. So I think Cass, 17th round is the second to last round of the draft, and Cass could get a starting caliber running back at that spot. So I think that's Cass's sneaky pick of the draft. Next, we're going to go with Josh. Josh, another phenomenal draft. He went 0 RB to start out the draft. We don't really see this very often. But he took really best player available. Some picks went right before him, and he decided to go all wide receivers. We'll see how it works out for him. Josh, I think his best pick, Brock Bowers in the third. Brock Bowers had the best rookie tight end season of all time last year. He is not just going to get a lot of volume, but he's just one of those awesome, mega talented guys that were a prospect. If he would have came out 2 years before that from college, he would have been a top 10 pick. He lived up to the hype last year. They brought in an upgrade in Geno Smith at quarterback, an upgrade in head coach in Pete Carroll. Their defense is really bad, so they're going to have to pass a lot. I mean, Raiders are going to throw to him and Jacoby Myers, and Brock Bowers is the man. So getting him in the third round, he's going to show a significant difference in his competition every single week at the tight end spot. Josh's worst pick, Tank Bigsby in the 11th. I know it's the 11th round, but that Jacksonville backfield looks like a pile of garbage with ETN, Tanks Bigsby, and Basil Tootin. Three guys, no one really knows what's going on. I mean, one of them could prevail. I mean, Travis Etienne has been the man. He could be a great pick. We just don't really know what's going on. It's kind of a throwaway pick for Josh. If he could go back, he would take it back. And his sneaky pick, Romeo Doubs in the 17th. Who's Green Bay's number one, guys? Jaden Reed's out. He's hurt. We have a rookie, Matthew Golden, who could be awesome, but they're supposed to have an awesome offense. Jordan Love is supposed to be the man. Christian Watson's hurt as well. So you got to get this awesome quarterback, awesome offense, but we don't really know who's catching the ball there. Is it going to all go to a rookie wide receiver? I think Romeo has a chance to be a sneaky wide receiver 2 this year. To get him in the 17th round, who knows? We will see. Denny with the next pick, right after Josh. His best pick, going to stick with that tight end theme. Third round pick, Trey McBride. I was really high on the tight ends going into this draft. I think if you got one of the three studs, specifically Bowers and McBride, you were in a good spot. And to get those guys in the third round was super valuable for Josh and specifically Denny in this case. I think Trey McBride's going to catch 100 balls this year. And I think he's going to be a stud. I mean, he was a stud last year. He just didn't have enough touchdowns. I think he gets those touchdowns this year. I think that was Denny's best pick. Denny's worst pick, and this, I'm putting the stamp on it. I'm sorry, Denny. I hate to do this to you. Worst pick in the entire draft, Joe Mixon in the 5th. Mixon has been inefficient his whole career. I know he's on the Texans offense. He was okay last year, but he's already always injury prone. Now, I mean, we don't even know if we're going to see Mixon this year with this foot injury, mystery ailment that's been bothering him all offseason. And Denny took him in the 5th round. Now, 5th round, there were so many good guys available. So if Denny loses out on Mixon this year, it's a huge blow to his team. So yeah, I'm sorry, Denny, worst pick in the draft. But his sneaky pick in the draft, I'm going to go with Khalil Shakir in the 10th. Josh Allen got MVP last year. Josh Allen is the man. He's a stud. He has to have a main target. Is it Keon Coleman? Is it Khalil Shakir? Khalil Shakir and him had a nice connection last year. If Khalil can stay healthy, he has a chance to be a top 15 wide receiver. I really believe that. So great pick with Denny to get Khalil Shakir in the 10th. So yeah, awesome pick. Next, we're going to go with Jace. Right after Denny. Jace's best pick, I mentioned 8 out of 10 teams that I really liked. Unfortunately, Jace's team was one of the ones I wasn't a fan of. So it was hard finding a best pick for him. I hate to say it. He has the stud quarterbacks. We'll get into his team a little bit later. So let's get into the picks. Best pick for Jace, Jalen Hurts in the 4th. Jalen Hurts is a fantasy machine. He gets rushing touchdowns. He gets rushing yards. He gets passing touchdowns because his offense is so damn good. He never gets hurt somehow, knock on wood. So Jalen Hurts in the 4th to get maybe the number 1 or number 2 fantasy quarterback in a super flex in the 4th. Great pick by Jace. Worst pick, Rashee Rice. I mean, what are we doing? We knew it was going to be 6 games in the draft. We just didn't know when. He took him as his wide receiver 2. That's why this pick is so bad. You take Rashee Rice in the 10th or 11th round, assuming he's missed the 6 games as your 4th wide receiver. That's one thing. To take him as your 2nd wide receiver is unexcusable. Terrible pick. If it wasn't for the Mixon injury, that would be the worst pick in the draft. But Jace's sneaky pick, I actually really like. Jordan Mason in the 10th. I think Aaron Jones has been injury prone his whole career. I think Jordan Mason's actually a really good runner. The Vikings are going to have a good offense. They have a good offensive line. Jordan Mason has a chance to take over for Aaron Jones midway through the year, and Jason will have himself a nice starting running back. Matthew Roman, Learning Computer. Learning Computer took a huge malfunction, had a virus this year. I think he was using a compact Passario or something because his team was bad. Worst team in the league after the draft. I'm sorry, Matt. I hate to do it. I really did not like your team. But everyone has best picks and worst picks. So your best pick, Kelce in the 5th. I think Kelce, especially what we've seen in that little preseason game, with Rashee Rice being out those first 6 games, Chiefs want to throw this year. I have a feeling they want to throw. And Mahomes loves Kelce. Kelce looks in shape. He's lost like 20 pounds, it looks like. Mahomes still feeds him the ball. I think that's going to be an awesome pick for Matt. Kelce in the 5th. Worst pick, I just touched on it with Jordan Mason. Aaron Jones in the 7th. It could be good, maybe a couple weeks here and there, but they're going to be splitting carries, and he's probably going to get hurt, so I wasn't a big fan of that one for Matt. Luckily for him, his sneaky pick could be the Aaron Jones replacement, Javonte Williams in the 12th. I mean, he technically is Dallas's starting running back, guys. Now, he's been mediocre his whole career. Everyone thought he was going to be awesome coming out of North Carolina, and he is the starter in Dallas. Their offensive line is not what it once was, but to get a starting running back in the 12th for what could be a really good offense, I mean, great pick, Matt. Javonte Williams is a great pick. Our Super Bowl champion, we have gotten there, guys. Tim. He had a really, 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 really good draft, and I think his best pick in the draft was Jayden Daniels, 4th rounder. Like I said, to get maybe the number, kind of the same thing with Jalen Hurts, to get maybe the number 1 quarterback in the 4th round is great value for Tim. Jayden does everything that Jalen Hurts does. He runs, he gets yards, but he passes the ball a little bit better. And the better thing for Jayden Daniels is why I liked him better than Jalen Hurts is his defense is pretty bad. So he's going to have to throw the ball more. He's going to have to score more in Washington. So Tim's got a rock star in Jayden Daniels. His worst pick, Quinshon Judkins in the 11th. The dude ain't even signed. I know his talent is okay, but he's on the Browns, and he's not even signed to the team. He's played 0 in the offseason. That might just be a burn pick for Tim. Who knows? Quinshon Judkins even talked about maybe he's eligible to go back to college if he wants to, which is wild. So didn't like that pick. Luckily for Tim, his sneaky pick was to cover up for that one. Jerome Ford in the 16th round. So Tim was like, I'm getting one of these Cleveland Brown running backs. Give it to me. So he takes 2. Jerome Ford actually is a great pick, I think. I think in the 16th round, there's only a few rounds left in the draft. He could be a starting running back. I mean, Cleveland doesn't have a lot of weapons. They got to go to someone, right? So I really like the Jerome Ford pick, Tim, in the 16th. That's your sneaky pick. And last but not least, our last place team from last year, the Gigatrox, Calzone. Cal's team was meh. It was just good enough to get above that threshold of being a turd, but I still wasn't a huge fan of it. His best pick, I've kind of talked about him early in the draft, Matthew Golden. I think Matthew Golden in the 11th could be, at the end of the year, the best pick in the entire draft. He has a chance to be Green Bay's number 1 wide receiver. The guy has looked awesome all offseason long. He was awesome in college as well. So Cal getting him in the 11th could salvage his entire fantasy season. His worst pick, I didn't like the Kenneth Walker pick in the 3rd. I thought that was way too early. When you have guys like Brock Bowers, when you have guys like Trey McBride, A.J. Brown, I mean premium talents going in the 3rd round, and you go with a guy like Kenneth Walker who's been meh his whole career. Pretty good. Gets injured though. Seattle's offense ain't going to be that good. So I just really didn't like that pick from Cal. And his sneaky pick, I touched on Carolina earlier when I talked about Tet. That other guy that they're going to be throwing the ball to, Xavier Legette, he was a 1st-round pick a few years ago. If he can get his shit together, he could have a really good season. We'll see if he can stay healthy, but that's a sneaky pick for Cal. I really, really thought that was a good pick. So let's hope Mr. Legette comes around for Cal. So that's the kind of draft recap, guys. Sneaky picks, best picks, worst picks of each team. I think everyone did really, really, really good, except for, Jason Matt kind of had a down draft. Jace checked out. He was basically a zombie, and Matt's computer exploded. So, real quick, we're going to get through these matchups real fast. My matchup of the week. This was I looked at the matchups and I was a little disappointed in the matchups this week. It was like a lot of higher tier teams versus all the lower tier teams the way it was. But I did have a matchup of the week, and we're gonna go with Justin versus Ryan, the second pick versus the third pick in the draft. This one, who would have thought Justin versus Ryan? This should have been a slaughter. Ryan's perennial playoff contender, and Justin takes dumps, but the matchup is insane. They're projected really, really close. And both guys, I touched on their teams, really, really strong. I think you're going to know right off the bat with Ryan having Saquon on that Thursday night game against Dallas. Unfortunately for Justin, I think Saquon could blow up. I mean, we got no Micah Parsons for Dallas. So Philly might just run the hell out of the ball. And here's the thing in this game is if Saquon has a monster game, it will drastically affect Justin because he has A.J. Brown. He has Devontae Smith. So if Saquon's running the ball and stealing all the touchdowns, Justin's guys aren't. And that's the thing. I'm going to give the slight edge to Ryan. I really love Justin's team, don't get me wrong. But because of the Saquon versus the two Eagles guys, in Dallas, I can't really see putting up much of a fight against Philly, where Philly has to throw the ball a lot. I just think Saquon, there's a chance that Saquon outscores both A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in this game. So we'll see. I'm going to give the edge to Ryan. I really like his team. I think Drake London has a really, really big game. Justin on the flip side, Bijan's the man. Like I said, it all comes down to that Thursday night game. I mean, Justin has the two wide receivers. He has Dak Prescott. Ryan has Saquon Barkley. So we're going to know after Thursday's game who takes the dub in this one more often than not. I'm going with Ryan. Second game, we're going to go with Josh versus the Learning Computer. I mentioned this one. Projections are actually really tight this game, but I'm going to give the edge to Josh. I just don't think Matt's team is necessarily good enough. I mean, we have Chris Olave in the starting lineup. We have Christian Kirk in the starting lineup. We have Aaron Jones in the starting lineup. All for Matt. Just not good enough, in my opinion. Now Lamar Jackson could throw him on his shoulders and carry him this week against Buffalo. I mean, Lamar versus Josh Allen, those guys could both go off for fucking 40 points for all we know. But I do think Kelsey keeps Matt in this game. Friday, I think Josh could go into the Sunday down some points. We'll see. If Kelsey can match the CeeDee Lamb matchup from Thursday and Friday, because Kelsey always kills the Chargers. But Josh just has CeeDee Lamb. He has Amon-Ra. He has Brock Bowers. I think those guys are just going to be too good for him. And the biggest weakness for Josh is his running backs, his quarterbacks. And his quarterbacks have really good matchups this week going against Las Vegas and Carolina. I think that's the difference. Josh takes the dub there. Next, we're going to go with Tim versus Jay, Sweet Chin Music, our Super Bowl champion. We're going to try to get his season start off on the right foot with a dub, and I think he does it. Jace's team, we'll see. I mean, his quarterbacks are Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. Can't get better than that. They're going to be monsters. Kind of what I mentioned before, though, about the Saquon thing. That might be a Saquon gain Thursday night. Jalen Hurts might not have to do much. But those might be a lot of tush pushes for all we know. So, a great start. I mean, Jace is starting Hollywood Brown to replace Rashee Rice. Could be good. Hollywood Brown's questionable, so we don't know. George Pickens could get a lot of garbage time in that Philadelphia game. But with Jace starting Stefon Diggs and Caleb Johnson in his two flex spots, not what you want to see on week one. Not what you want to see. Tim, Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff, not as good as Jason's, but still really good quarterbacks like that. Not to mention he has the Jaden Daniels, Scary Terry connection. I think they're going to come out hot. But Tim has the wild card, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, if you at the start of the season you said everyone in the league is going to stay healthy and play 17 games, Christian McCaffrey would have been the #1 overall pick, even ahead of Jamar Chase. And that is what Tim has here. Christian McCaffrey is healthy. Christian McCaffrey is going against Seattle. They don't have Brandon Ayuk, and they don't have Juwan Jennings. So Christian McCaffrey could catch 10 balls, and I'm going to give the edge to Tim because of that Christian McCaffrey monster game he could have. Next, we're going to go with what almost was my game of the week. Denny versus Cass. I think this one's going to be a barn burner. As I mentioned before, I really like both of these teams. Denny's not able to start Joe Mixon because that being the worst pick in the draft. He's starting Michael Pittman and Khalil Shakir in his flex spots. Not bad, not bad. They're both starting wide receivers. The big thing for Denny, and this is kind of why I'm skewing towards Cass, is I didn't mention this in his picks. I almost made this his #1 pick. Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears is out. He's going to be out for a while. And Tony Pollard is really good. And I think this Titans team has a chance to be sneaky really good. The only problem with that is they're playing against Denver in week 1. And Denver's defense is legit. I think most other matchups the rest of the year, Tony Pollard has a chance to carry Denny to some victories. But not this week. He does have Gibbs. He does have Malik Neighbors, who in Washington, so that's the difference. But you know, Cass's team overall, I think Tet's gonna have a huge week. I think Sutton's gonna have a huge week, and you know, JJ's gonna be on prime time in Chicago. I just like Cass's matchups, and I like Cass's team a little bit better. The Jalen Waddle start does scare me a little bit, but it is week 1. Let's hope even Jalen Waddle can make it through week 1 without any hiccups. And then last but not least, we're gonna go with the Titty Biscuits versus the Gigatrox. This was an interesting one because, like I said, Cal's team was pretty good, but almost down there, you know. But after looking at it a little bit more, I thought it was. I mean, like I said, the Matthew Golden. I'm not a big fan of Debo, but the Matthew Golden, he is in a starting lineup. But Matthew Golden, Nico Collins, and the biggest thing. This is why I'm actually going to give the edge to Cal this week. I was leaning Pat, but Xavier Worthy. I mean, with Rashee Rice out, I think the Chiefs come out firing. It's in Brazil. Xavier Worthy's going to get fed the ball with Nico, with Xavier Worthy, with Matthew Golden. Ashton Genty's first game. It's against New England. I mean, I'm going with Cal. I'm going with the upset. This is my upset of the week. Cal over Pat. Pat's savior this week is if Cal's Joe Burrow takes a dump. Problem is this matchup is bad for Pat, is what I mentioned is before. If Jamar Chase does good for Pat, some of those points are going to come from Cal's Joe Burrow. So it kind of is a wash for Pat, and that's his #1 overall pick. So we'll see. I mean, the rest of Pat's team has a really good matchup, but I'm not a huge Cooper Kupp guy this year. Pacheco, I hope Pacheco does good. You know, obviously Chiefs, baby, but we'll see if he's back fully healthy or not. Either way, I'm giving the upset to Cal this week over Pat. Guys, we're here. Chiefs are here. Mizzou versus KU is here. Something else is going on this week. I cannot put my finger on it. Oh yeah, I'm fucking getting married this week, guys. Is that not insane? That's crazy, right? Today's Tuesday. We got the rehearsal on Thursday. We got the pool day / Chiefs game at Tim's all day on Friday. And then the big day on Saturday. I seriously cannot wait to celebrate with all you guys. I love you guys so damn much. The bachelor party weekend was honestly one of the best weekends of my life. So many laughs, so many memories, so many good times. I'm seriously the luckiest guy in the world to have a group of friends like you. And I can't wait to see you all again this weekend. I love you guys. Can't wait.